Select something. You select something. I know that right down.
For great and loving and kind God, we thank you for the things we've been able to accomplish in this community. We pray that you will lead and guide everything to the benefit of everybody around. We ask you for help and guidance. Thank you again for this food you give us so much in abundance. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank some people. First of all, the ladies who served us and cooked this meal today, and puddings. I'd like to thank everybody for it. I'd also like to thank the farmers, the 3 local farmers here in town donated the vegetables that we have here. Josh Tom, Dean Rouse, and Martin Rouse donated all the vegetables. So what we purchased today for this meal was a box of salt, 4 cans of milk, and a bottle of pepper. Everything else was donated. I was telling one of the reporters, I don't think I've ever seen anything really that can gel this town and our neighboring towns much together as this one little whale that's done. The amount of phone calls I've got and the people that have patted me on the back and don't let this go, don't let this go, keep this for our town, right? It's been tremendous. And like I said, so this tonight, we put this together tonight to show our thanks to the people that came here. We have 2 ladies here from Boston. I'm not sure what their names are. Get John, Amy and Kathy. This is Amy, isn't it? Yeah. This is Kathy. And John, the one you keep hearing me referring to, from St. John. And we have 2 from PEI, Greg and Pierre here. We have 4 gone?
3.
Andre and
3 gone back at the university.
3 got back to the university. That was, unfortunate they couldn't be here to be with us too. And so, John, we'd like to make a small presentation to you on behalf of the town. And we'd like to be able to open it now and show it to everybody. Okay.
Well, usually if you have to come to a dinner or something, you do a little preparation. So I did a little homework. I had to go to school in Springdale today and do a couple talks and things. So I was thinking what we should do next is a heritage group here. The Bowhead Heritage Society has been formed. And I thought the first thing we need to do is make some honorary Bowhead so we increase the population a little bit. So, I can see with some of you we're going to have a little bit of a I should have brought a little Scotch tape for now. One of the things biologists are concerned about when populations are really decimated, and what typically occurs is a genetic constriction, and you're concerned about the diversity within a population. So I figure if we make you all honorary bowheads, we'll considerably increase the genetic diversity of the population. So we're going to go around and give each of you honorary bowhead status, and I'm going to ask all of our crew to do that. So we'll deal with you when we get there.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be any
Too much hairspray. Okay, where do you want it?
Yours, you can find it.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, shit. That's gonna be best.
No problem.
See?
Hank? Oh,
that.
Oh, thank you.
They solved the problem there. No, we've got some tape, by golly.
Just don't pull it off in a hurry tonight. Oh my. Oh, what fools we mortals be.
Sandra's my wife.
Oh, pray.
See a double dog.
I like you too.
Erin, are you ready?
Oh, wonderful.
My name is Angela. Nice to meet you.
Oh, Kelly, you're really decorated.
Christmas right around the corner.
There we go.
Great.
Just don't breathe.
No, oh, Don. Oh, we're gonna get you. I think we should both get you. All right.
Very good.
Yeah, because you're double trouble. Yeah, you're double trouble. You wanna get the road? All right.
Maybe you can help us.
Aim, hold this way.
Amy got some there on the shoulder too. She's not.
There you go. Thank you.
Well, that's perfect.
We won't let us get him.
I guess I'd like to say one of the things. You know, we have the opportunity to go to a number of communities and work like this. And sometimes we work real hard and we sort of leave town in a trail of dust and go back to university and work real hard again. This has been a really wonderful opportunity for us to get to know you as a town and as individuals. And I think we've all had a wonderful experience. It's wonderful the amount of help you've given us, and we will really try to repay the kindness by helping you with the Heritage Center and getting this Bowhead and so on. And last night I suggested you could think really big and think of including the marina and all kinds of things. But I think you need to remember one thing when you're doing all this, that you are the real attraction here. I mean, you've got a great waterfall, you've got a great trail, you have a Bowhead whale. But I came to Newfoundland 30 years ago. And I loved the place. I just dropped anchor and I stayed. And I didn't really intend to stay. And I came here more or less by accident because I'd always raised Newfoundland dogs. And I knew they wanted to hire a behaviorist. And I said I was interested so I could come and follow my dog for them. But and I followed the ocean and the land and things like this. But one of the things that's always been very precious to me is the people. And the kind of openness and the cordialness. So and I hope whatever happens, I hope you can be a very successful town, and I hope that you become rich. You remember this quality of our life and this quality in our people that really does make us unique. It make us attractive to outsiders. This kind of cordial hospitality that you've shown us is a really wonderful thing about this community. And it won't matter how many whales you have or anything else, but that's what you really have here. It's precious. And on behalf of all of us, we've seen that and we've been exposed to that. I'd just like to say thanks for it. So, thank you.
There was a right whale, possible right whale stranded here, and that got us very excited because Kathy and I studied right whales at the New England Aquarium in Boston, and as you all know, right whales are extremely endangered and having terrible trouble down in the States and close to Canada. So, we rushed on up here as quick as we could, and shortly thereafter we realized that this was a bowhead. And a number of people asked us if we were disappointed that it was a bowhead and not a right whale. And I've got to say, not at all. This is the first bowhead I've ever seen. And in fact, bowheads are just as in tough shape in the North Atlantic as right whales are. So it's an equally as endangered species and unusual event for this part of the world. So in that respect, I don't think anybody should be disappointed that this was a bowhead rather than a right whale. It's got an equally amazing, or probably even more amazing event that has happened here. Bowheads are an Arctic species, and they're very close cousins to the right whales, which makes them look very similar, and that's why it was so hard to identify it as a bowhead when it was still in the water. Bowheads live up in the Arctic, usually near the ice pack, and they feed on plankton, just like right whales do. They don't feed on fish like the other baleen whales do, but they feed on plankton primarily. And bowheads, like the right whales, were hunted for their thick blubber layer and their long baleen plates that you've seen today, which were used much like modern day plastics are used now to make buggy whips and women's corsets in their dresses and things like that in the olden days. So they were hunted equally as heavily as right whales back in the 1600s off the coast here of Newfoundland and Labrador. And so they both have made their name as, in the whaling era, they made their name as very popular whales. And I think the present day status of bowheads is equally as endangered as right whales. I know there's just a few hundred in the North Atlantic. I don't think they're as well studied in the North Atlantic, but from what folks know now, they tend to live more up north, up towards Baffin Island and northern waters. So this is probably the most southern sighting that has ever been documented of a bowhead. So it's a very rare event. So it's great that you're going to preserve it and make it part of this town's heritage. I think that's really special. Thank you for doing that.
I'll just tell you that one time, I can't remember how many years ago, we did have one bowhead reported to us that was caught at fishing here. And this was way out in the Davis Strait, and Fisheries and Oceans was going to have me go get it. So because they called me, and because it was in the Davis Strait, north of Labrador, but well offshore, but I said, well, that's a Newfoundland whale. So I tell school kids that bowheads do occur in North Newfoundland waters. But this is the first record of a bowhead in Newfoundland that has ever been. That, scientists haven't been around that much, but we think it's the first record that's happened here. So we'll present a little paper in one of the scientific journals to that effect. So there will be a science publication about the first recorded bowhead whale in Newfoundland and Labrador occurring here in Rattling Brook. And because we weren't the first to see it as a bowhead, but David was. David will be one of the authors with some of the rest of us on that paper. So that's kind of a nice thing to have happen. And that will happen fairly soon. Before we forget all about this, we'll write a little note. And but we'll be publishing a scientific article with David as well. So that's kind of a nice way to cooperate. Maybe what I could do is ask Pierre to tell you a little bit about what we found about this whale. Some of you probably heard it endlessly, are sick of hearing it, I guess, but others may not have heard the story, and we want you all to have the story right, because you're talking about a relative now, right?
I think it's mainly between, I feel a bit self-conscious, but maybe I will not think about the way I look. No. So I'll start from scratch. I'm a veterinarian, it's not stop laughing. I'm a veterinarian, and quite often people don't tend to associate veterinarians with wildlife, especially not with marine mammals, even less with whales. And I think it's becoming more and more common now that veterinarian and biologists realize that they have a lot of information to share. As veterinarians, we're specialized in the animals, in knowing their anatomy, physiology, how they work. Biologists are most interested in populations. How healthy the population is, we are interested in how healthy the animals are. I think that makes for a tremendous team and a tremendous opportunity to learn from each other. And when John phoned me and said that there was a whale, perhaps a right whale, and that he was interested in going there and opening it up and trying to find out as much as possible about it. And when I heard and I talked to Amy that she was coming, and I had met her before at the site of a right whale, I thought, I cannot miss that. This is going to be fun. I'm going, however decomposed the whale is, I'm going to learn in one way or another, just by sharing, just by talking at the side of the whale. And I'm sure that anybody of you who were there saw us chatting all the time. What does this mean and what does that mean? And I think I gained an awful lot from that already. We may never really, as often is the case with very decomposed whale, we may never really determine specifically what killed it. But already the kind of information that we have gathered, to me, is very, very precious. And I think that, I'm sure that Amy and John agree with that. For one thing, I had never seen those big gouges taken from the blubber of those whales. And I was pleased to hear that John seemed to suggest that perhaps it was a result of sharks. And I had heard about those sharks before, and I was so excited to see something that perhaps indeed was a result of some of those Greenland sharks I've heard so much about. So if nothing else, I know that there are sharks around which feed on those big whales quite up in the North Atlantic. So that's one step. Now, are these sharks scavengers or predators? Did they feed on the whale before or after it died? I think it's we may never know. Beyond that, we could not find anything really wrong with this whale. It was missing some organs, yes, but those that we saw didn't show any good evidence of any disease problem. So that's another thing that we determined. Its body condition it remains to be discussed a bit. John and Amy may think that it was in fairly good shape. I had the impression that maybe it could have had a bit more fat around the heart. That's the way, as a veterinarian, I'm used to looking at the body condition of animals, how much fat they have around the heart. John and Amy are much more used at looking at the blubber, and so their information and my information, we'll try to see what it means really. So all this put together, really what killed it, what we know is that this young female was really out of her range, and she was a young one, and she must have been separated from her family for quite some time. And this certainly did not help her. So you see, it was a decomposed whale, but I'm sure all of us learned an awful lot from that. And I must concur with John. Greg and I came here to do the necropsy on a whale. Each time I forget that there is so much excitement on the part of the community, but I tell you, this was more than we were expecting. Really, it was just so exciting for us to see how the people were interested in what we were doing, and we had such a grand time. So we have spent, 2 days here? Well, we will remember this area for a long, long time, and you will see us back. So be sure to
Since the town looked after, or I should say the community of Rattling Brook looked after John, we're going to look after the other 4. We'll start with the ladies first. And we have for you this one. Now, these are all locally made by Lloyd Burke. These are actually handy dishes for your table. Hopefully you will enjoy it. Handy dishes.
You'll be jealous.
Actually, I'm not aware. They're made of different woods. Some's got damson wood, some's got cherry, some's got pine, birch. There's a combination of all of them. Now these are being presented on behalf of the community channel, Talk to the Town, which is what most of this will be presented on our community channel over the Talk to the Town series. So for anybody who's not here and is not aware of the Talk to the Town, it's on Wednesday night. For the people in Springdale, not sure if anybody other than these people from the state. If anybody wants to get a copy, they can borrow them from the channel to have a look at after they're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I mentioned to Sandra and Calvin earlier, I left Wednesday afternoon from Charlottetown, just, as Pierre said, going to cut up a whale, and I'll tell you a whole lot more. It's been a tremendous experience, and it's going to stay with me for the rest of my life, and I can't wait to bring my weight back. Thanks, man.
Well, I'd just like to, first of all, I guess we'll tell you how I got here. This is really exciting for me because this is well, I thought it was going to be my first right whale necropsy or autopsy, but it turned out to be my first bowhead. So Amy and I are along for the same ride on that as far as our first bowhead. But it was a great experience. It was really exciting. I think we've all learned a lot, and I'd just like to thank everyone. And we're already planning a trip back here in a couple of years to see your museum and see the whale intact. So thanks a lot. It's been great.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank George for doing and organizing all this dinner for us. It was a lot of work and a lot of effort, and we do thank you very much for that, George. We'd like to thank John and his team. We've really enjoyed John, and I'm sure, as I agree with Pierre, that he learned a lot. We have all learned a lot as a community. Talking to our science teacher there today, Eve learned a lot, and Eve really enjoyed it, and I'm sure it goes for everyone right around, from the youngest kids that was there. They've enjoyed it, and there's something that they will remember. And when the whale is sitting here, and the most of us with gray hair is gone. And that's what's important, is the education part of it. Because this thing here is a wonderful thing for Rattling Brook, but it's not only a wonderful thing for Rattling Brook, it's a wonderful thing for the Green Bay, and that's what we got to put our emphasis on. It's for tourism from the Green Bay. And I would like to say thanks to our representative from the tourism, that's from Green Bay today, our representative from the council, the deputy mayor, Mr. Pilley and his wife, they're from Springdale, and Greg Hilliard, that represents Hospitality Newfoundland Labrador. So that we do appreciate that, and we want Springdale to be part of us, because as down the road we're going to have to raise a lot of money to make this work, and we're going to be knocking on doors or asking people in Springdale for, as George referred to earlier, the food center donated, because the food center is going to benefit, as well as the business in Springdale and all the rest, if we can get the tourism to come to the Green Bay. So I'd like to say thank you for coming and for representing the towns, and we're sure that we'll be seeing lots of you, because there's going to be lots of those, but the only thing about it, you're going to have to pay for the next lot.